Colin, you have shown me what unconditional love is through your support, patience, and faithfulness. I promise that I will walk with you wherever our journey takes us and communicate with you along the way. I promise to continuously grow alongside you. Most of all, I promise to love you unconditionally.
Jess, I vow on this day in front of friends and family to love you without condition. We do not know what the future may hold, but I have no regrets, because today I get to be your husband.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very exceptional episode on Rewired Radio. I'm your host, DJ Drew, and today's guests are the amazing wedding planners behind the video that you just witnessed. They turn dream weddings to reality from the California coast to the shores. They're exceptionally yours. Let's welcome Crystal and Caitlin.
Wow. Thank you for that.
Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. I wish we can have you following us along all the time.
I'm following
Our
you
hype
along.
man.
Anywhere you want to go, I'm there.
I like it.
Can you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, so my name is Crystal.
And I'm Caitlin.
And we're with Exceptionally Yours. We are a wedding planning company in Southern California, and we also do offer dance lessons.
And we're going to be talking all about that. Everything from wedding planning to dance lessons to wedding traditions. But first of all, I want to give a nice shout out to Josh Noble for providing us with that video. Great work. And also the Dana Point Yacht Club for the beautiful scenery. Also, as you can probably tell, my co-host Coral is not here today.
Aw.
She is doing some things for her own wedding planning. It's coming up in just a few weeks. So Coral, we miss you. We'll see you very, very soon. But let's talk about you guys now.
Yay.
That wedding that we did was so much fun.
It was wonderful, and the couple themselves were just such sweet human beings, so it made it even more enjoyable of a wedding, for sure.
They were a wonderful couple.
Yes.
And, you know, there's a few things I remember from that wedding. Caitlin, you and I had some good conversations that day. And I also want to mention Storm, wherever you're watching out there. The man loves to dance. If you don't know Storm, he is Crystal and Caitlin's assistant, and he's probably the most fun assistant that you can find out there. How did you two come together? How did you meet? How did you start your company?
So I actually started our company before I even got into it. I was teaching dance. You were also
I teach dance
teaching
too, yeah.
dance at a couple of different companies. And from there, I helped different companies kind of put recitals together. And I realized this was something that I like to do, and I decided to expand a little more. And I actually met Caitlin with another company that we worked at. And when I was looking for other people to kind of expand the business, she had let me know that she's been taking classes and she is on top of it, and we've worked together. So I was like, this is going to work.
So dancing is actually what led you to meet one another.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
We were friends first before working together.
Caitlin, you were just learning to dance?
I actually am a dance instructor as well.
Really?
Mhm.
Well, see,
Musical theater side,
I had
but
no idea.
yeah.
Women of many talents. So, Crystal, you are the owner and you're also a dance instructor,
Mhm.
correct?
Correct.
So, what kind of dancing do you teach?
So, wedding wise, I've done ballroom, we've done hip hop, I actually am going to be doing a little musical theater jazz thing that one of my couples want to do, which is a lot of fun. I love things that are very different. So, I just think it's a little bit of a challenge, but I also kind of go off of the comfort level of the couple or the individual. So yeah, I pretty much do it all, whatever they want me to.
Now, do you get a lot of couples who come to you for choreography for their wedding?
I do. And a lot of what we do is, like I said, I do go off of comfort level. So I will either ask them if they want a full dance choreographed or if they just want a couple of dance moves. Sometimes people just are like, I just want to learn how to do a turn or a dip or just a couple of steps. And we can do that too. So if you want a whole shebang choreographed, we can do that. If you're just like, we just need a couple of moves to kind of pick from, we also do that too.
What is the whole shebang?
I've taught couples lifts. I haven't yet got to do the dirty dancing lift.
Oh,
The one where they
on
run
the
up
list.
and then you just lift them
Yeah,
up.
not yet. Haven't had.
I feel like
someone...
you would be good to practice on for that.
Yeah, I mean,
Doing the lifting or being lifted?
Being lifted.
I can lift.
I'm sure you could. I'm sure you could. I'm just saying, I think you would be a perfect example. Plus, you have so much control as well. I guess it's
Thanks.
more depending on the person you're dancing with to lift you up, to give them that strength and control, right?
Yeah, and I mean that's a lot of what we kind of work on in our lesson. So most of the time, I'm sure you guys can probably imagine, I get contacted by the brides or the female of wanting to do a dance lesson, and usually the other person, whether it also be a bride or a groom, doesn't really want to do it. So a lot of it is just kind of find that comfort level because usually one person's a little more gung-ho than the other.
So one person will want to do the dance, but the partner is a little more hesitant.
Sometimes, for the most part, a lot of the times, sometimes you will get them like mutually wanting to, and those are fun too. But it's a lot of fun for me seeing their confidence, just like, wow, I actually got this.
Yeah. So how important do you think it is to choreograph a dance, say, for something like the first dance?
So I think it's important to at least work something together, just so there's so much that happens in a wedding, and like just not even just planning it, but staying on a certain timeline or just telling yourself to enjoy the day. So at least, like I said, if you're able to grab a couple of moves just to feel comfortable or even have a choreographed dance, that's one less thing to really worry about. So I think if you guys kind of are talking through it, like, oh, what should we do on that first dance? I feel like it calms the nerves a lot more going into it.
Speaking of calming the nerves, I know that a lot of times brides can be extremely nervous when they're dancing in front of tens of hundreds of people, right?
Yeah.
All eyes on me. Well, not me, but on them, right? So in that case, when you have so many people watching you at once, and you probably have a lot of experience with this because, you know, when you're choreographing a dance, it's like a performance, really, right? You're planning on performing it in front of dozens of people, not hundreds of thousands of people. So in that case, what do you do? What do you tell your dancers as you would tell a bride to help them calm their nerves?
I always tell them just focus on each other. I mean, the day is pretty much just you two. Don't worry about what people are either doing or looking at or saying, because pretty much whatever you're doing, everyone's going to enjoy it. So just stay in the moment. Know that you have your other person with you. Sometimes I do even have people, especially if it's a choreographed dance, get in the room or find some time, 10 minutes, 15 minutes before, just kind of run through it.
Yeah.
But I always tell them not to like perfect it then. It's not the time to perfect it. Just kind of get the jitters out. But in the end, just be present with each other. Don't worry too much about what's going around you. Just know that you get to share that day with your other person.
So maybe sometime after the ceremony or before the ceremony, the couple can come in. Of course, you got the DJ there, play their song, and then just get those jitters out, like you said. Do a quick run through, just kind of feel it out.
Exactly.
And maybe envision it in your head. Does that kind of help out a little bit too when you actually see it happening?
Yeah, sometimes I actually have couples as they're getting ready, maybe they're changing, maybe the bride's getting hair and makeup done. They'll just play their first dance song because it kind of calms them down. Sometimes the way they have come up with using a first dance song, it's because it usually reminds them of something spectacular that's happened in their relationship. So a lot of the times just listening to the song makes them feel much more at ease too.
And then depending on the song, because it's a personal taste, right? For each couple, you have to choreograph the dance around the song. So everyone is going to be different. It's not the same two-step. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to, depending on if it's a fast tempo, slow tempo, you have to adjust based on the song, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which makes my job a lot more fun, I think. I mean, there's always going to be first dances where I might have also done it with their same song. But in my lessons, I always tell them, when we're having our lesson, let me know if something doesn't feel good. It's not going to hurt my feelings. It just gives me a better idea of things that you guys feel more comfortable about, or things that you want kind of thrown into that. So it's choreographing with so many different songs is a lot of fun, just because it's really hard for me to, honestly, I might have choreographed the same song maybe 6 months ago. It's almost impossible for me to choreograph the exact same thing.
Keeps you on your toes,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and each couple
sure.
is different too.
Mhm.
So
True. Same thing with
constantly.
DJing too. You know, every couple is different. So I always have to find, even though you might play the same songs, you have to kind of recreate it in a different way to them, you know,
Yeah,
put these little
definitely.
different elements there.
Exactly.
So it always keeps you sharp, keeps you on your toes, because you're always creating something new. So that's awesome. I
Yeah.
think more couples should actually get more choreographed dance. I think for one, it'll make them feel a little more confident
Yeah.
and kind of take the edge off, you know, because they're a little more prepared as opposed to just going in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So the first dance is a typical wedding tradition that's done at most dances or most weddings. Let's talk about some other traditions. Caitlin,
Yeah.
now when you and I worked that beautiful wedding together, we had a little conversation and we were discussing certain traditions, particularly the bouquet toss, the garter toss. And you're saying that those can make certain people feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, again, it's going with the couple. There's couples that are totally gung ho for that and have to have that for their guests. And then there's some couples that may feel shy or not super confident with wanting their groom to go under their dress for the garter removal. They're all different types. So the good news about those type of traditions is they don't have to do those ones if they feel uncomfortable with it or nervous. There's different alternatives, which is nice to have.
Absolutely true. And I think that depends on the couple
yeah.
themselves. You know, if the groom is a little more reserved,
Yeah.
probably not a good idea to do the garter toss. You know, it is a little, what's the word I'm thinking of? Spicy, I guess, for a lack of a better word. But yeah, I think it all depends on you. And then there's some guys who are just like, all right, I'm going for it, you know?
Yeah.
Show you how it's done.
Yeah.
Well,
Let me
they
show you how
know
this
their
is done.
guests will enjoy it, where maybe great aunt may not be as intrigued by it. But
Exactly.
They're all
Yeah, your
different.
great grandma's there or your
Yeah.
grandma's there and she's like, oh, what are you doing, boy? You know? But yeah, I think it all depends on the couple. Also, I
Yeah.
would say depends on how many single people you have there too,
That's
right?
true.
You know, if you
Yeah.
don't have a whole lot of single friends, if you got like 2 or 3 or 4 single friends, probably don't want to do that,
Right.
right?
Makes
Which-
it a little bit more awkward when you just
Right.
have 2 or 3 or 4 single friends, especially if you know that you have more that are married. There's
Yeah.
different ways that you can do it instead of singling out the single ladies.
Yeah, because I think it just makes them feel a little uncomfortable, you know, when it's
Right.
just 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
I think in that kind of scenario, maybe if you have more married couples, just invite up everybody, you know, where it's just, all right, all the ladies come up to the dance floor. That way you kind of have a little more unity rather than just let's single out the single ladies or the single guys. I did want to mention something. Maybe this is something that could catch on rather than doing a typical garter toss where you go underneath and pick out the garter. What if you have a choreographed garter toss? Let me show you what I mean.
Interesting. Oh my God.
I'm feeling it.
Ah.
Yes.
You know they rehearsed this.
Oh my goodness. All right, where's my groomsmen at?
I know.
So cool. How fun. I like that.
You like that?
Yeah.
I figured you would appreciate that, being a dance instructor and choreographer.
Yeah.
Incorporating both into it. I like it. Yeah.
See how he didn't really rush into it. He kind of made it into a fun
Right.
dance and then went
Yeah.
for it.
I love how it's, and I think it probably makes them feel a little better to have more people on the dance floor too.
Mhm.
Then it's not just like focusing on them grabbing the garter.
Yeah,
Right.
I would
That's
say
so
people
fun.
are focused on the dancing there rather than the removal itself.
Yeah.
So rather than just focus on all the single people, now you've got your groomsmen and you're still doing the garter toss. You just made it up that, elevated the garter toss 10 times.
Yeah, definitely.
So
fun.
I think it's a cool idea. I think more people should try that. I've been noticing a lot more, just in video scrolling through Instagram and such, a lot more choreographed dances like
Mhm.
that. It doesn't necessarily have to be the garter toss, but just more choreographed dances, the groom and the groomsmen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
The
just
bridal
looks a lot
party
more
just
fun.
doing-
Yeah, the whole bridal party
Yeah.
just looks a lot more fun. So we talked about the bouquet toss, the garter toss, and ways you can improve that. What do you think are some unnecessary traditions that we have at weddings? Maybe ones that eat up your budget and you kind of feel like you're pressured to do them because of old traditions and such, but you don't really necessarily have to do them.
Yeah, I think that really depends on the couple and what their preferences are. Some couples may be really focusing on invitations and need to have the perfect invitation. And maybe a bride dreamed of having a limo, and that is just the end all be all of her wedding. So there's a lot of things that they may want to use, and there may be some things of a wedding and traditions that they don't want to, and there's no set schedule that you have to do for a wedding. So that's the cool thing, is it's the couple that gets to choose what works and what doesn't work for them.
True. I think there's a lot of things that go to waste. For example, party favors are, I don't want to say they're waste, but at the end of the day, they just kind of get left behind, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on party favors just to make it that much more glamorous. We mentioned expensive invitations.
Mhm.
You don't really have to have the finest invitations. I mean, if you want to, by all means, but
Right.
yeah, and the limousine, another, something that eats at your budget. So these little things all add up. I feel like you spend a lot of money and a lot of time trying to perfect these things when it could probably be going to other things that you could plan for.
Yeah, and that is one of the biggest things that we really focus on when we have a couple. We always encourage sitting together and just kind of chatting about what's important to you. We always tell people that these might be traditions, but these aren't set rules. So don't
True.
feel pressured into having to do this because 20 years ago, this is what my mom
Right.
and dad did. But if that's not you, it's going to be hard to enjoy those moments. So a lot of the times we're always just like, take the time, sit down with the only other person that this whole event matters to.
Your partner.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. And then usually from that conversation, you're able to really narrow down what traditions you want to do and what can just go.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Speaking of old traditions that your grandma used to do, the money dance is one of the oldest traditions. This thing dates back to like the 20th century. I was doing a little bit of research on it, and it's just one of the oldest wedding traditions. And rightfully so. It's something probably all our grandmas used to do back in the day. And it's something that they still want you to do to this day. It's like, oh, you got to have the money dance and dance with everybody. But it's like, all right, that was back in like 1912 when you got married. But, times have changed. And so has the music. So what are your thoughts on the money dance? And if for anybody out there who doesn't know what the money dance is, it's basically when the couple takes turns dancing with all their guests in exchange for money. So they come up, they pin $1 on your bridal gown or put some money in a hat in exchange for a dance.
Yeah. Same thing. Sometimes those traditions are very important to people. And then we also do have couples that are like, this is something that means a lot to my parents. My grandma is just telling me I need to do it. And I kind of want to do it, but I don't want it to be awkward. Some things that we've suggested are sometimes the things that make it awkward is dancing to those slow songs.
Right.
So we're always like, maybe you can do like more mid-tempo songs, more faster songs, make it more fun.
Yeah.
And it still gives them a chance to dance with you and still carry on that tradition. So there's always alternatives. So we always say it's not always black and white. Like a tradition does not have to be exactly like this. It's always evolving. People are always finding new ways of doing things.
And you make a great point with the music, because a lot of the songs for the money dance are usually slow tempo love songs. One of the most popular examples is Elvis, Can't Help Falling in Love with You. And I find it very awkward when you're dancing with your third cousin to that song. It just does not make sense to dance to Elvis with your third cousin. I think you're right. Like, make it a little more fun. Like songs like, Donna Summer, She Works Hard for the Money is a great song that I use personally for the money dance. There's a lot of great songs out there. I try to blend a mix of both, like the slow ones, because you still have your grandma and grandpa that you're dancing with and such. And then, pick up the tempo a little bit as time goes on.
Yeah.
So, and by the way, you might want to mention how long that these can take.
We usually do let them know. Depending on guest count, it can take a lot of time.
It can.
So just know that it can cut into other open dancing, so other opportunities for dancing. But yeah, it's one of those things you just want to talk to your other half about. Do we want to cut into 15, 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes of our open dancing? Yeah. Or do we want to spend the time doing those money dances?
Well, and I think with that, they can also add it of, we're just going to do 4 songs worth. And then however many people we get through, that's where we're going to cut it, so that we can have the money dance for our family or for themselves, but not have to extend it to
I feel like after
30 minutes long.
After 4 songs is when the line really starts, to pile up. Usually the first 2, 3 songs,
they're not sure.
They're not really. They're a little
they don't
reserved.
Want to be the
like, exactly. Then after 4 or 5 songs, then people start lining up. But she's absolutely right. It can go up to 20, 30 minutes depending on your guest count. So consider that. Let's talk about another important aspect of every wedding: the bridal party. Now, the bridal party is your core group of friends and family that are there to support you throughout your day. And it can get a little stressful trying to plan everything out. You two would know. So, I'm sure it's difficult trying to find out who might be your best man, your maid of honor, So what are your thoughts on that, on there has to be a bridal party for every wedding?
Yeah, again, it's what the couple wants. If they have 3 friends on the bride's side and 1 friend on the groom's side, that works for them, then that works for them. It doesn't have to be the traditional only guys for the groom and only females for the bride's side. It's whoever they feel is important for their bridal party. And that can be mixed up with human, with dog-like.
I like the dog option a lot. I like that option. I think every dog should be at a wedding.
Yeah,
they're fun.
I agree.
And like you said,
fun.
You don't have to have guys on one side, girls on one side, right? I mean, you mentioned that you've seen guys come out as, what did you call them, flower boys?
Yeah, the flower guys.
Flower
yeah,
guys.
flower guys. Oh, those are so fun though. Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
Tossing from their, what is that called?
Fanny pack.
Fanny pack,
Yeah, a little sash.
tossing from the fanny pack.
Yeah. Those are a lot of fun. But yeah, I think so many people always do see things like that and they're like, oh, I have to fight. Since he's doing 3 people, I need to make sure I do 3 people. And that doesn't have to be the case. We've worked many times. I think you have an event coming up soon where she has 1 person for one side and then 4 people for the other side. And it works. I mean, I mean, either when you look back on those photos, you're not necessarily going to look at, oh, that was uneven, but more like I'm standing next to the people that mean the most to me.
Right.
Yeah.
So shouldn't be too much pressure if it's not even, if you don't have the same number of people on both sides of the party. because we can make that work. That's no problem.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I think a lot of pressure comes with maybe figuring out who is the best man, who's the maid of honor, figuring out the outfits, things like that, right? I mean, that can get a little stressful when you get into the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah. Again, with that, I don't think there needs to be a maid of honor if you don't want to. If you have that stress, you can just have them all be a part of the bridal party and not have to have the title.
Mhm.
If it's gonna give you stress and give you issues, then it's not worth
The
having to do
stress.
that. Yeah. It's
Kind of
whatever.
takes away from the fun.
Yeah, it's just to make themselves feel good and know that the important people are there with them, whether they have the specific title or not, is up to that couple.
I agree. I agree. Good advice. So let's talk about some other traditions that are non-traditional. Let's say you don't want to do the bouquet toss, the garter toss, the money dance. What are some other fun ideas that couples can do to fill in the gap if they're not planning on doing these kind of things?
Yeah, so actually something that we've seen at our events is a fun little game. They call it DJ versus couple.
Oh, I want to hear about this.
It's a
sounds
lot
fun.
of fun. It's a game for everyone. And it's so fun when you can get your guests interacting into it too.
Mhm.
So pretty much what happens is a DJ like yourself
Uh-huh.
will have a song to play, and the couple has to take a picture at each table before your song is done.
So the couple has to take all their photos with all their guests
Mhm.
before the song is up.
Yeah. So this is where teamwork
Mhm.
This
goes
is like
into play.
This is like a 4 or 5 minute song.
Yeah.
They got to rush.
They gotta do it fast.
There's some like 10-minute songs, right?
yeah. There's
You
got to
can
be.
transition it and make it appeal like it's
Right.
only
Mhm.
one song.
Mhm.
I see what you're saying. So basically, the DJ is gonna play a song, maybe 2 songs, but make it seem like it's one.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the couples are going around the table taking photos fast.
Yep.
That way, we can speed up the process.
And it's a lot of fun too, because these photos are not your typical like posed photos, right? These photos a lot of the times can be so fun. A lot of the times you'll see tables like getting ready and chatting through what their pose is going to be, but knows that they're like table number or the second one to come up.
Mhm.
So you just like see it working, and they make for fun photos, but I think also just the experience. Like once that event was over, I heard a lot of the guests, they were just like, oh, that photo that you did when they were coming to our table. Like it's a great memory.
For 2
Yeah.
seconds.
Hey, those
like-
2 seconds made it.
Hey.
And the couple did win.
Hey, thanks for coming. All
won.
right, we gotta go.
Sorry,
Just so you
DJ.
know.
Yeah. I love that. So it's called DJ versus the couple.
Mhm.
I like that. I'm gonna have to try that at the next wedding.
Yeah.
I hope that catches on.
I hope so too.
was-
I
it
think
was a
it's
lot of
neat.
fun.
That's cool. One of my favorite games personally is the shoe game.
yeah.
I love the shoe game. If
That's
you're
fun.
looking for a way to fill in the gap in your reception, the shoe game is always fun and really
Mhm.
kind of tests your knowledge of how well you know your partner.
Yeah.
That's always a fun one to play as well. So let's talk about some other trends that are happening in our industry right now. We talked about, traditional things happening, traditional games. Now let's talk about some of the newer stuff.
Yeah.
What have you noticed that's been catching on in our industry?
One of the ones I've noticed is instead of having that traditional guest book where they can sign and leave like a small, simple note, there's a special phone that they can pick up, and it's creates a recording. So every guest can leave a recording saying whatever wonderful thought that they want to say. And that way,
Get out.
instead of reading grandma's handwriting or trying to understand what it says, you can hear her voice.
You leave
and
a voice
it
message.
means a lot more. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So instead of a guest book, you have a phone. You
like
just
memos.
pick it up
Mm-hmm.
and, hey, Allison, just wanted to say thanks for inviting me. And had a great time. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whatever you
It's a
want to
lot of
say,
fun.
just leave them a voicemail and then they hear it back.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you find something like that? I have yet to see that.
You know,
There's a lot of
there's got to
companies
be
coming
a
up.
lot of different areas that you can find it at.
Yeah, there's a lot of different companies that are doing this. It's becoming more and more popular. And I think they even give it to them in like little thumb drives and
Really?
stuff. Yeah. So you can,
So you
It's
don't
also-
have to keep the phone at home.
Yeah.
It's like
You take it on a thumb
You
drive,
can keep the
basically, and you can
recording.
listen to it back.
Mhm.
could you imagine like the people, because
It's
The phones
the
come
dial.
in those.
rotary dial phones.
Yes.
Right. Oh, the old school ones.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you plug it in, or no need to plug in?
Some of them you don't have to plug them
Yeah.
in. Some
You
of
just
them
dial.
you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can just see like my grandma going on it, and it's like the date is February.
3 minutes later.
Yeah, she's
Okay,
got a long
Grandma.
message. There's a whole line behind her.
It's me again. Call me.
It's like, all right, you already left a
Throughout the
message.
night.
She goes back after desserts. Hey, honey, I haven't
Cake
heard
was
back from you.
wonderful.
The food was great. Oh,
the
your
fifth-
grandpa is on the dance floor
I
still.
love
I don't think I'm gonna go join him. Well, I'll call you back.
They're the
That is
best.
awesome.
So
I love
wonderful.
that. I hope I get to see that soon, and I hope it's a tradition that picks up because that's a lot more exciting than a guest book.
Right.
Yeah, it gets a little bit more personalized.
Yeah,
in it,
totally. And you
too.
get to hear them, and something you'll have forever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's almost like the photo booths that they have, right? So
Yeah.
like once you start, you see how everyone looks, and then throughout the night, it's like, oh, that's how the night turned out for them.
Right.
So it's like the slurring of words,
Right,
maybe.
right.
Yep.
Then you just see everybody. It's like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Gotta love the photo booth.
Yeah.
One last thing. What about registries? Now, this is one of the most important aspects of any wedding. Usually the bride and groom have requests for their gift registry. What have you noticed to be some of the more requested gifts for wedding registries?
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of people that have been living with each other even before their weddings. It's turned out to being a little more common than before.
Right.
So a lot of the times they already have a bunch of these appliances or furniture, pots, pans, all of those things. So a lot of them are now trying to do like honeymoon funds and home funds, even baby funds. So there's been a lot of people that are opting out of the material things. But I mean, I think I would always recommend still maybe having like 5 or so things on that registry because there's always someone that's like, but I want to get them something.
Yeah. I need
Yeah.
to do something that's not money. I
Yeah.
need to do an
Right.
appliance or
Right.
something.
Yeah, like get him another toaster or something. So instead of getting him another toaster, you can opt out and get him something like a honeymoon
Mhm.
package or something that goes towards a honeymoon.
Yeah, I think there's also a lot of different websites that you can actually purchase different things for them to do on their honeymoon. So like maybe a hike or maybe a wine tour or things like that. So that's always a lot of fun
Yeah,
too.
something more adventurous.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that. Take notes out there, folks. Stop spending money on microwaves and screwdrivers. Get them something fun, something that they're actually going to put to use. Well, I got to say, this has been very, very helpful. I love all the advice and tips that you've shared with us. Now, if there's any couples out there that want to hire Exceptionally Yours for their wedding or special event, or maybe even take some dance lessons from you, Crystal,
Yeah.
where can they reach you?
So we have Instagram, we have our website, exceptionallyyours.com. Instagram is @exceptionallyyours. We have pretty much everything. Email, phone number.
We are accessible.
Just reach out to Exceptionally Yours. Crystal or Caitlin will take good care of you guys. They're the best. They're down here in Orange County, and they're going to turn your dream wedding into a reality. Reach out to them. Make your wedding dreams come true. Ladies, it's been such a pleasure to have you. And of course, we can't forget that on the show, on Rewired Radio, our guests of honor make the toasts. So would you please make the honorary toast for us?
Yay! Thank you so much for inviting us.
Yes.
And happy planning. And we hope to chat with a lot of you guys. And this was an absolute pleasure.
I'm
Thank
glad
you
you had
so
a great
much.
time, and we look forward to having you back.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Have a good
Cheers.
night.